So now we get to the fun part. We get to the electronics. We get to where the guitar starts to come together. We're going to see a bunch of different processes with Drew, and we're going to go in and we're going to go into a much quieter area as well.
Indeed.
Yeah, let's hang out.
Let's check it out. All right, so as you said, it was much quieter, but this is where we have all of our electronics and all of our sub-assemblies. We prepare all of our bridges, as well as all the individual components right here. You see there's a lot of stuff going on right here. We have our piezo saddles, all the electronics that wire up the bridge, everything for intonation and setup, it all starts right here.
Now, if you could go ahead and settle a heated debate.
Oh, excellent.
What's the proper pronunciation for piezo?
Piezo. I say piezo. And it's probably like piezo. But
you know what? Larry Fishman told me something very similar.
There you go.
So, okay.
That's the goal there.
You heard it here first, kids.
So in addition to the sub-assemblies for some of the bridges, if you walk down this way, you start to see a lot more electronic components where you've got pickups. We have our winding machines here. These two particular winders have pretty much made every single Music Man pickup coil ever.
Wow.
So you're looking at some history right here. And they've been in production since, the dawn of history.
Yeah.
And they do everything from our original Stingray bobbins to some of our newer bobbins where you can see we do a lot of combinations of circuit boards, plastic bobbins, the different windings. This helps for a lot of grounding concerns and wiring concerns that some pickups have. We've addressed a lot of that in these.
So with these old winding machines, is there an element because of their age, and I don't know anything about their braking system or anything, can some pickups be slightly overwound and have the sauce, or do you guys like to do very precise, replicable pickups? Where do you guys land on that?
We are all about precision with that.
Okay.
Now that also there's tolerances, so there's upkeep, there's things like that we always pay attention to.
Okay.
I'm assuming you may have heard the differences in the details. That's one of our mantras here.
Yes.
And so we do everything we can to make sure all of the procedures, all of the recipes have been maintained throughout the years. For the longest time, we didn't touch anything that had to do with the Stingray until about 2018 when we started doing the Stingray specials.
Interesting.
It was always the way it always was, and that's when we started addressing some things that a lot of people would comment on with regards to Stingrays.
Sure.
And we gave them that opportunity to try new instruments.
Sure.
A new version of the Stingray. But we still have all of the original programs. These are actually cam driven, so it's all mechanical.
Got it.
So it's pretty cool in that regards. And as you move down even further, we have electric assembly where we're putting together pick guards. This is a Stingray 5 and's putting together some preamp assemblies.
Yeah.
You have, Ann, do you mind if I pick one of these up here?
Sure.
We have our preamp assembly here, which has everything on one circuit board. We've done our best to make these really beneficial to the customer and the manufacturing process, to where you can see all the wires and everything you solder on one side, and all of the components that make the mojo happen are on the bottom. But all of these sub-assemblies are assembled here and then put into pick guards, put into ways that the setup department can actually easily put them into the guitar.
Oh, that's cool.
Here's some of our newer winders. These are all digital, so they're still mechanical, but we can program these with a lot more fidelity. So we can control so many more variables than we ever had before.
Sure.
And since we started doing the HT pickups, almost every Music Man guitar, except some, you use pure Music Man pickups that are made here in-house. And that's really something that helps us to control the sonic quality and the specifications we want to hit for every single instrument. It's just a little more control, but a little bit more creativity at the same time. So
that's awesome.
It's awesome. It really is a lot of fun, and there is a lot of mojo in pickups. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
No matter how they're wind or where they're wound.
Lightning in a bottle, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So of all of the factory you've seen so far and all the gigantic rooms you've seen so far, one thing we pride ourselves on is our massively huge repair department for all of the problems we have for all of our instruments.
Big repair department.
It's right here in this corner. This is actually, we do a lot of QC in this area as well. So there's a lot going on here, but this is Herman. He's one of our main techs that repairs anything and everything that comes on through here. You never know what you're gonna find, you know. Sometimes guys chuck their instruments at the wall. Sometimes a wire comes loose. You never know what happens, but we're here to fix it. So that's what we do here.
Sometimes girlfriends smash. Yeah. And we've actually got those.
Oh, wow.
That's a fact. One fun thing about this area is when Leo Fender was part of the Music Man heritage physically, this was his bench here that he would work on when he would do prototyping or anything for that matter. So this is something we've always kept in this general area because the man, the myth, the legend did a lot of work here. You know,
Wow.
you gotta touch it for mojo. I mean,
Super cool.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, so another thing that we really pride ourselves on is we don't really have a QC department. In fact, every person in every department is a QC.
Interesting.
And so every time an instrument passes from one department or even one procedure to the next, one person checks their product and then says, this is a good product. And they give it to the next person. They say, you're right, this is a good product. I'll go work, I'll do my magic on it.
Oh.
And so every single step of the way, that's something we do here. This is one of the benches that we do a lot of our inspections for after we've done a repair. We get another set of eyes on it. Or when we're building prototypes, we do a lot of inspection in this area too.
Interesting. Okay.
A lot of action in this small little area.
Yeah.
It's like a laboratory.
It very much looks like a laboratory. Very cool.
This is where we do some of our pickup potting. You know, I'm sure you've had a plethora of guitars you've had an abundance of feedback on at times.
Yes, sir.
This is where, you know, you basically put the pickup in a hot wax bath and you seal everything up so that the coil doesn't, you know, basically go out of control, to put it lightly.
Get sealed up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And we do a lot of, this is kind of fun, we do a lot of 3D printing for a lot of our jigs and fixtures. This looks a little wonky, but every single piece of this is actually meant to hold our Kaizen pickups specifically, so when we pot them, they're in the right orientation and everything like that.
That is super cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. 3D printers are a lot of fun. So you can see we have some more winders, we have some pickup parts.
Yep.
Cynthia's doing some more preamp assemblies here. And you can see there's just sub-assemblies everywhere because we have so many different models and makes.
A lot of models.
There's this department probably has the most parts in the entire factory, probably 10x.
Wow.
Because, you know, every resistor, every wire, anything.
Literally.
It's all, this is like the electronic guts of the entire instrument right here.
Wow.
So there's a lot that goes into it. And once it's done here, then it's part of the setup department. So this is the start of our setup department.
Okay.
Okay, so now at this stage in particular, pretty much everything is built. You have all the wood, all the paint, all the buffing, all the metal, all the electronics are now in their sub-assembly form. And now we take all of those things and we put them together to make an instrument. And we kind of have two alleyways. We have our necks, which go down this alleyway, and we have our bodies, which go down the wall side alleyway.
Okay.
Once they get to there, I'll show you the next part. But what we do in these sections is we do all of our fretwork, where the frets are machined, but they're not perfect. And one of the things we pride ourselves on, especially with using stainless steel frets, is the work has to be, the frets have to be perfect, or else the guitar will never play right. It will never feel right. So every single one of our frets is leveled, it is crowned, and it is buffed and beveled so that it feels unbelievably comfortable. And we've done that forever, but with the implementation of stainless steel, all the different models, whether it's a through neck Majesty or a Cutlass or a fluff model, you know, we do is the best we can on all those different styles of necks and frets. And so once all of that work has been done and the tuners have been put on the neck is basically ready to be put on the guitar.
Got it.
On this particular side, you can see we have a huge variety of instruments coming through right now. But on this side, what we have is all of the parting, is what we call it.
Okay.
So the first thing we do is we try to break all the edges on the guitar so that when you put a screw into it to assemble something, it doesn't rip up your finish. And the good news is by this time, all of the finish is rock hard. It's pretty much ready to be used and abused, but at the same time, it can handle all of this hardware so
Right.
that you can use and abuse it however you want. And then over here, we have kind of the initial stages. You see some of these guitars have battery wires ready. They have their strap buttons on them. And if you turn around, which you might want to check this out, this is where all of those electronic subassemblies go.
Oh,
You can see
wow.
they're all organized by part number. A lot of them are in sections of where certain instruments are. So you can go, you're putting a JP together, you can go to kind of
Got
the
it.
JP section.
Okay.
But now you have your pre-assembled bridges.
Yes.
You have your pickups that are ready to go and be
Oh,
wired
that's so
in.
cool.
So everything's pretty much ready at this point.
Right.
And what we do across the way here is once we have all those sub-assemblies, we part them into instruments. And so they have everything they need at each individual station to take those sub-assemblies and mount the hardware that's required for the body.
Okay.
And once all the electronics are done, again, I talked about QC earlier, you have your electronic tests, your physical tests. Does the switch go from position 1 to position 5? Does the knob turn all the way? Does it sit right? Are the pickups set right? Does the tremolo move? And then we do what's called a tap test, which is basically just checking the electronics and making sure that the tone knob works, the volume knob works, things like that.
Wow.
That's an initial
Yeah.
test of the electronics. And you can see we have a variety of models. You have a bass, you have a Cutlass, you have a Kaizen, you have a through-neck Majesty. Every one of these benches has the ability to do all of those. So depending on what's coming
Okay.
through, we can turn it pretty quickly.
So are they grabbing an available body that needs this done to it and just grabbing something and doing it that day? Or how does that workflow kind of determine where the guitars are going for that particular bench?
So we are constantly improving that, in all honesty. We're always working on product flow through every department. This is a very complex department because
Yeah.
every single version of everything is being put together
Yes.
here. So yeah, there is an order to the operation, and basically every slot on the wall that you see there, whether it's a neck or body, is numbered. And there are sheets that have the number of where bodies and
Got it.
necks are, and then everybody knows where the procedures are if they don't have them memorized already because they've done dozens, hundreds, or thousands of that
Right.
instrument.
Okay. Very cool.
So at this point, if you look at this wall here, it basically looks like half of a guitar.
Yeah.
You have the whole body, it's completely assembled. And again, look at the variety of instruments that we have here. It's like every single one of these has a different setup, a different finish, a different hardware set, So everything has to be really well organized, and everybody here does a fantastic job making that happen and keeping it consistent.
Yeah,
So
wow.
that, the one customer that gets their one guitar
Right.
gets exactly what they wanted.
Right. Wow. A lot of variety.
A lot of variety. It's
Yeah.
always fun to see it like this too, because
Yeah.
it really shines when you have them all side by side.
Jeez. This is cool. Also, I love your guys' system of the I can't remember what Tomas called it, but the slotting system, the system you're using to just kind of stick the bodies into the channel systems.
Right.
So cool. What a brilliant design. Very
So thank you. So we have all the bodies here, and then over here, this is the equivalent of the neck section. So now every neck has tuners on it.
Okay.
There's notes on it. There's part numbers. You see a lot of tape everywhere because it's depending on what's happening, you might need to add a little extra note.
Right.
You might want to protect it in whatever you're doing. So there's a lot of information everywhere.
Right.
Again, we're constantly improving that. So that's actually getting truncated as we speak,
Cool.
or more standardized, I should say. So once you have your neck and your body, excuse us, this section is actually where they put all the tuning keys on.
Oh.
So we have a variety of tuning keys, but this is where they put them on. And now everything's gonna go in this direction.
Okay.
So we have all of our strings that we put on all of our instruments. We have all of the components that it takes to physically assemble a neck to a body. So you have your neck screws, you have your neck plates, and this is what we would call kind of like the generic assembly, where they're not really setting up the instrument, but they're doing the last step of getting a body on a neck.
Got it.
And they string that up. Once that's done, it goes to these setup benches here. where they're not only winding everything and making sure everything is physically working again, but they're checking nut slot heights, they're checking their bridge heights, the intonation, they're checking the pickup heights, all of the things that make an instrument playable right off the shelf. That's another thing we pride ourselves on tremendously, and there's been many stories, but we've had signature artists, and Luke was one of them, where his guitar didn't show up one day, and he was at a Guitar Center, and he said, okay, well, just go grab me one off the wall. And everybody was like flabbergasted. It's like, well, don't you want us to set it up for you and your particular one? It's like, no, that's how Music Man sends them out of the factory. And that is true to a T. Every single artist instrument, every single instrument goes out of this factory 100% playable. So everybody that picks it up knows what it's like to play, what quality we try to achieve.
Love that.
The setup section is very detailed, because now, instead of talking about a larger tolerance of, let's say, cutting a piece of wood from a block to a raw body, now you're talking about thousandths of an inch when you're talking about how well the nut slot is filed. That alone can make your guitar feel like terrible, or can make it feel amazing when you're playing it. So we pay a lot of attention to the details of filing the nut slot. In addition, we have a certain setup spec that we try to hit. So the strings are a certain distance off the strings, the pickups are a certain distance from the strings. So everything sounds the way we intend it when it's designed.
Okay.
And again, like I said, the variety, we have standards, but every single instrument has a particular setup.
This is actually where I would argue that a lot of manufacturers skimp, because we've all gotten a guitar that has mile-high nut slots and all that kind of stuff, because that's such a subjective thing. That I guess that's why they'd skip there, as opposed to like a straight neck or something like that. But this is awesome to see that he was just checking like the first fret height with the string, like that's.
And it's over and over again until it's just right.
Yeah.
And going back again to the details, we do our own setups, and then we have a secondary inspection to where someone goes and triple check or double checks that setup. And then before the instrument is actually put in a case, there's one final setup. So pretty much at the moment the instrument's done, we still have 3 QC checks before it goes into a case.
That's amazing.
And then if you turn around here, you can see we have a variety of instruments ready to go to our shipping department. A bunch of Kaizens here. Then you have all your, your cutlasses, your JPs, your Stingray basses.
Yeah.
Your St. Vincent's. And at that point, you got a completed Music Man ready to ship.
Right. Well, cool. Thank you. I will take this cart.
Right?
Yeah.
Roll it to your car.
Yeah. It'll fit in the trunk.
Sweet.
Yeah. I'll give you one.
Nice.